Hello, welcome back to Sushi Live Coding. In this episode, I'm going to do some kind of improvisations and creating some kind of like a complex spiraling thing using sine function and cosine function. So it's actually it's not actually that hard, not that complicated once you understand the whole way like to create the spiral thing. So let's just get started. Turn on Sverchok add-on and let's save this as SV complex spiral. So it's more like kind of like advanced versions, but then again it's actually not that complicated. All you need to do is like to provide sine and cosine functions, and these two can do the job for us. Let's actually just use a line to get started with. So we know that a line actually consists of a vector points that's kind of growing in the x-axis, and it's really up to you how you want to do this. Actually, we can actually use the z-axis, or it doesn't really matter. Oh yeah, we actually gonna needs like a range of number first of all. So range of float, for example, and then we're gonna create a spiral using a start and stop, and I'll just plug this into that guy for now, and this guy gonna generate some kind of a value that's kind of going in the sine wave, right? And this one cosine wave, and mix them together and you get a spiral basically. Actually mix them together and you get circle, but if you push it up using a line, you're gonna get a spiral. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna create vector in. This is the sine and this is the cosine wave, and plug into this guy and we get a circle, and this gonna go around over and over again. It's just gonna create circle unless you put the z, like the value in the z-axis. I think the easiest way to do this, perhaps just use another range float, or just simply plug this guy in to the z and see how it goes. Oh yeah, there we go. There we get the z happening. Although I think you can also use vector rewire. This actually will work as well, and you're kind of modifying the scalar here. So it's another way to do this. Maybe I'll just add it anyway. So it's like doubling. So there's this guy. There's this guy is gonna generate the thing, and then this one also kind of overriding it. The next thing we can do, instead of having like start and stop as a unit, we can actually, the unit size, we can actually use I think math pi, if I'm not wrong. So where's the pi? Okay, pi, I think this guy, not this guy, I think this guy, pi times x. If we times 2 the pi and plug it into the top, I believe it's become like a single spiral. So if you look at it from the top, that's and turn it into orthographic, there's actually a single spiral element that you can adjust in terms of sampling. Let me check properly. If I disconnect that, so yeah, that's one time rotations. So it's up to you whether you want to have this or not. But the next thing we can do is to use a Polyline Viewer just to generate the curve, which is looking something like this. We already know this, and we can use like a B-spline as well. And this is a curved object, and we can increase the curve like this. So you have a lot of options there with the spiral. And the next thing we can do, instead of using just like a circle, like a radius for the whole thing, we can actually use like a Bezier curve. And I rarely use this, but if you start using Bezier and pipe it into this guy, you will get quite interesting design, more like a ribbon. You see, this guy is really based on that Bezier shape, and it's kind of lofting it around the spiral. So I always want to make everything procedural. So instead of having a curve here that kind of not procedural, we can use our own, just like using a line, and create another Polyline Viewer. And let's create this. There's an unfortunate thing here, is that this guy, Polyline Viewer, doesn't have options to turn off the radius. I mean, let's look at the line here. The idea here is to zero out the bevel. So, oh well, I was wrong. So maybe we can turn it off this way, and then using it for this guy to do the extrusion. Maybe. I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. I have to select this guy and then turn this off like that. So that will trigger the curve. But if I turn it off here, it doesn't quite work. It doesn't switch to the other guy. Or maybe I need, oh, okay, I need to turn it off as well here on the top. Okay, cool. Seems to be working. So we can now randomize this guy, and we're gonna get more interesting result, I believe. Let me check. So we get like more variations with the line. Maybe I'll turn off this line and make this shorter. There we go. That's kind of the design I was thinking. And let's see. You can randomize the seed and get a better, like, more interesting result. Turn on matte cap because these are real objects, and then increase this guy and make it really small value, and you get this like a kind of design that's similar to artwork by Sougwen Chung. There's this artist working at MIT. I think she drew this kind of shapes in 3D using HTC5 or something. Can't remember, but yeah, it looks like 3D, but it's not. It's more like a ribbon, like a very flat shape. But then if you print it out, it's almost like a real glass. It's kind of a very interesting sculpture. Okay, and here, if we want to do more, a little bit more, to have control over the spiral, we can add some kind of multiplier in this guy, for this guy. I think just in the X and the Y, just add math, multiplier there, and then float. You can really like be really flexible with this value, and you can perhaps add like another function here, math functions. So it's actually easing function. this easing actually only works between 0 and 1, so we need to make sure that's happening. So there's this number goes in there, 0 to 1, and this goes in here. And we need another range float with a count like that, and we can try it. And this guy can goes in there to control the scaling. So I think that's seems to be working. Yeah, quadratic, and we can change the functions, and you can mix and match the functions. It's a little bit abstract, but it's kind of interesting. Anyway, so this is like a, so this is pretty much what I want to show you. It's kind of like a sculpture created using sine and cosine functions, and yeah, it's a mix. Also, it's just like a two curve being loved together. This is like two polyline curve here, and I think you can also randomize the shape of the curve this way. Yeah, I think it's pretty simple and basics, but you can come up with a very interesting result very easily. I wish I can print it out. So yeah, hopefully you find this useful. Let me know what you think. If you have any comments, feedbacks, let me know in the comment section below as well. Thanks again. I'll see you next time. Bye.